What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles podcast. Tonight, Jason and I are lucky enough to have Bill Russell, Curious HVAC Guy, on. So thanks for coming on, Bill. How you been, man?
Doing good. I'm doing real good, man. Thanks for having me, by the way. Thanks for accepting the money that I had to pay you to get my way into the show. I mean, I don't mind spending $1,500.
Hey, I mean, it's a steep price, but it's worth it.
I got to buy my way into everything.
I seen you do one. I was like, oh, Bill's doing podcasts. I gotta get him on here. We talked back and forth, over the last few years about, some restaurant stuff, we've worked on some fryers, and then I still got this bag of these pin pusher tools I need to send you, but I think your address has changed. It's been so long.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. Hot dog.
Yeah, I got them in the van. I didn't know what they were one day, so I opened them up. I was like, oh, I was supposed to send these to Bill. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I've been doing it the hard way ever since, just fucking cutting shit apart, splicing them, jamming them in there with paper clips.
Yeah, my son's been fighting one on their little tabletop fryers got built-in fire suppression. They dump the fryers. They got like a little basket and they dumps it and everything. Ultra fry. No, I forget what it is, but he was fighting one. I was like, man, you got this tool in your truck? He's like, no, I don't. I was like, yeah, you do.
Well, see, I found on Amazon, you guys probably already have one of these too, but on Amazon, they have like a bundle of these little, I don't even really know what to call them, but all sorts of little pin pushers and Molex thingies that go in the back of Molex to pull wires out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've never even seen anything like that before. Actually, honestly, the first one that I ever had was, I think, the one that Pat sent me, the very first one. I think you sent me one, didn't you, Pat? You sent me one before, I thought.
I may have sent you one. I found a bunch in my stash at the shop. So
I got them from somewhere, maybe a homeless guy on a bus or something. I don't remember, but they came from somewhere. And that was the first one I ever had. And I was like, what the hell is this thing on the back? And I couldn't figure it out. And then one day, just by sheer luck, I was working on a Frymaster. And I'm pretty sure I was doing something with the contactors down in the bottom to control the elements. And I had to pull some wires out or something like that. And I was like, it just clicked. I'm like, well, shit. And then, ever since I haven't had to do it the hard way ever since. It's amazing.
That video took off because my friend over at Tool Pros, he's seen it and he's like, hey, can I use this video? I was like, sure. And it just took off. So it was kind of cool.
Nice.
So, Bill, you ever met Jason? You guys cross paths? He's mainly, you're not on Instagram too much there, are you, Bill?
No, I'm too old to be on Instagram, I guess. No, but the funny thing is that you mentioned Instagram. Like every once in a while, I'll just be like popping around on TikTok or on Instagram or like Facebook, and I'll just see like these random like HVAC dudes pop up, and I'm like, I get pulled in this whole other world. I'm like, holy crap, there's a whole nother HVAC world of like Instagram guys, and here I am thinking like, this is all we got, just us YouTube guys. I'm like, well, holy shit, dude, we got TikTok guys, Instagram guys, MySpace guys, probably. I don't know if that's the thing anymore, but
I logged into my MySpace a few years ago. I wonder if it's still up.
Is Tom still alive?
I don't know. He's probably gray or fat and bald like me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's probably not doing well. Probably living on government cheese by now. Nobody's really on there doing nothing for him.
So Justin Timberlake bought it a few years ago.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, I heard he bought it. Him and some other artists. I'm sure they lost their ass on it. So
that is amazing. I mean, they probably bought it for like what, $85?
Dude, there was a meme I seen the other day. Like, how are we going to ignore the fact that MySpace had us coding like we knew what we were doing?
Yeah, I've seen that too. We were coding.
I was like, code. I was like, that's true. I was like, I forgot all about that. I was a copy and paste king, but
yeah, I don't remember really any of that. Maybe I was just copy and pasting too, but I don't remember thinking a bunch, putting much thought into it.
Yeah, your top friends in the music. That was it.
Yeah.
I wasn't near as active back then as I am now, and honestly, I probably wouldn't be as near as active as I am now if it wasn't for all this extra stuff I do. So,
yeah, man, you've been crushing it on this. I don't know, whatever platforms you're on now. What are you, Facebook, YouTube? I see the shorts popping up on TikTok every now and again. Are you Instagram, Twitter as well?
I'm everywhere. So I started off really heavy on Instagram and kind of like went everywhere else. But it's a lot of work. It's fun. some days I want to do long form, some days I don't. Some days I want to do YouTube stuff, and some days I don't. I mean, I get ADHD, so I just kind of bounce wherever it takes me. So
There we go.
you get your volume figured out.
Yeah, actually, my headphone jack wasn't plugged in all the way. Yeah,
Sequence of operations.
who would have thought? Unplug it, plug it back in.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Stupid.
So I found you on YouTube. It was back in the day when Andrew Grease had a page, and then he left, and they started talking about this new bearded wonder.
Yeah. It was like a coincidence where I came in, and like everybody's like, "Oh, it's the Andrew Greaves replacement." Although I will say less popular and not as great as editing videos with all the fancy colors and the flashy lights, and like I tried. It takes a lot of work. So I was like the Kmart version of Andrew Greaves.
The Wish version, or
yeah, like the Wish version, And so I just came in here. I'm like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And I don't know. I met Andrew for the very first time in real life at the symposium 2 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The HVACR school symposium, and super cool guy. Like, I think he sort of he had a predetermined idea or whatever of me. And because for a while there, I had heard through the grapevine that he thought I was blatantly like ripping him off and like trying to. I mean, I don't know, dude. I'm just a bald guy with a beard, like, like, whoops. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I met him, and we just chatted for a good solid hour. Just a good dude.
I met him at a supply house. I'm like, I walked in the supply house, and I was like, holy shit, it's Andrew Greaves. When he first started in NAVAC and he was touring around,
Yeah.
And it was in Indianapolis, Indiana at Duncan Supply. And I walked in and I was like fanboyed out. I was like, this is the first person off YouTube I'd ever met before I even met Chris. And I was like,
to meet him in a supply house, that's just
he was like
wild.
He was pitching NAVAC staff, and some Mitsubishi guys were like, would not leave him alone. And I'm like standing there and I see him and I like kind of nod. And the Mitsubishi guys turn around, give me a dirty look, and he's like, hey, hold on a second. And I started talking to him. I was like, man, dude, I appreciate your stuff. I was like, man, you're a big reason why I started filming stuff. I said, nice to meet you. And he like talked to me like it was no big deal. It was like, but the Mitsubishi guys would not like leave. They gave me a dirty look like I was interrupting something. I was like, whatever, dude.
Be like, F you, China, get out of here.
So Jennifer said you're not wearing pants.
I mean, it's not Thanksgiving, so no. I'm not at a funeral, so I mean, what's the point?
So I alluded to it in my promo that a lot of people probably don't know that you actually do quite a bit of hot side work besides refrigeration and HVAC.
It's bonkers. Of course, I will say for me, it's harder to film. I have made some videos on hot side stuff, but it's like few and far between because the situation has to be ideal in order to film some of the hot side stuff I do. Because I work in like the hot side places I work in is 95% fast food, and then the other 5% is like nursing homes and schools. And in those, like you get an afternoon call in a school, a commercial kitchen in a school, like there's usually nobody there. All the ventilators are gone. You might have a maintenance guy peering over your shoulder, but you can usually catch a few things on film. And then with the fast food, not so much. I was able to do a fryer one time. I did a pump change out on a Henny Penny fryer, and like that was cool because I did it so early in the morning. The manager was like, dude, I'm going to go get some coffee. I'll be back in like 2-3 hours. I'm like, have at it, bro. I'm going to be here. Bust out the camera, did some filming. But yeah, I do quite a bit of hot side stuff. I will say the hot side stuff I do, it's not like the big commercial kitchens like you guys do. Like I said, it's all fast food, sometimes fast casual. You got your simple Henny Penny fryers, Pitco, Frymaster, and then hot side stuff. But like the stuff that you guys are doing, your flat top double sided grills at like McDonald's, the Garland grills, like those things are spaceships compared to some of the stuff that I touch, And then the other thing, that picture you have behind it, that rationale oven you got right there.
Yep.
I worked on those. I went to a week-long training class in Chicago for those like 5 years ago. And I met this one dude who was training at the time to be a tech support guy. His name was Rama.
Okay, I'll be nice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about this guy.
At you if you get there too early.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know nothing about this guy, but I just remember out of that class, the only thing I did most of the time was I just said, "Hey, Ramalama Ham Jam" or something. I just made fun of his name the whole time.
Shit. I'm about to say that. And next time I call tech support and I get him, I'm saying it.
Like, hey, is this Ramalama Ham Jam?
Oh shit.
And it probably pissed him off all the time. But no, it was a really, really good class. And the first time they popped the side panel on one of those $80,000 ovens, I was like, what is this thing? I mean, it's bonkers. It is the most complicated cooking equipment thing I've ever seen.
And they are the most out of all combi ovens. Rationale's the most overcomplicated one out of all of them.
100%.
Like I work on all different kinds of them every day, and like I go from the most basic ones to these. And it's just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I've done probably more combis than like rationals or rationales. I don't even know how to say it anymore. Rationale. I'm gonna call it rationale. But like the basic ones, I've done plenty of those, and like the real basic versions of like the South Bend, the Garlands, where it's just a blower in the back and a heating element, you know.
Oh, it's a normal oven, yeah.
Yeah, really nothing to them. Like I've done plenty of those, but every once in a while I'll get an oven like that, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Hey, you can always reach out to me. I'll help you out.
Like, dude, even during the week-long training course, which by the way was the best training course I've ever been to, because at the time they were training chefs on the other side of the classroom or part of the building. Like, so for a whole week I ate some of the greatest food I've ever eaten in my entire life. Fantastic. But even during the class, like we'd go through something just in and out, up and down, sideways, and then it'd be like, all right, now we're gonna go over here and do it. And I'd get over there and I'd pull the side panel off, and I'm just like pulling hoses. There's water spraying everywhere. I'm like, dude, can't we just like make a simple oven? Yeah. Like, but you can bake a cake and cook fish and make potatoes at the same time. I'm like, why?
That's great. That's great. I love them. I mean, I make a ton of money on them. I'd rather do some more refrigeration than I do hot side right now, but just kind of the way our market is and the way we're staffed, that I kind of take care of a lot of combi ovens. I was out till 5 a.m. last night installing 2 pretty greasy, nasty ones, and I put some stuff out there. So you'll see it float around. I just, like you said, the hot side stuff's kind of hard, man, because you'll film something, and all it takes is one person to say one thing, and all of a sudden they know where you're at, and you can't share it.
That's a good point too.
It's like like you scan by, like I'll be at a Buffalo Wild Wings, I'll be doing something, you scan by, and all of a sudden there's a Buffalo Wild Wings cup on the floor, and he's like, he just ruined the whole video. I can't show no issue because that was in the corner. You didn't realize it. It was like, man.
Like I'm in freezers sometimes, and I'm zooming around. I'm like, oh, there's a logo. There's a name of a product or something that's only known to that restaurant. Like, yeah, it's real stupid sometimes.
Yeah, that's why I see it is easier doing up on the roof, doing the rooftop stuff, the HVAC stuff. I think it is easier doing that. But I mean,
100%.
After hours or in a school, something like that, somewhere there's no branding. The branding is what gets you in trouble, because then they want to, where, everyone's gonna know where you're at. I mean, I can tell where people are at by the floor tile in most cases.
Yeah. With what you do, are you doing like HVAC stuff on top of the refrigeration and the hot side as well?
Yeah, we have very few customers that do HVAC for, just a couple. I like doing it, but we just don't advertise it or push it enough. So
do you ever, I often think about this, but do you ever wish that you would just take one part of your world and just like, this is all we're going to do. We're only doing hot side, or we're only doing refrigeration, or we're only doing this, just so you could be exposed to it on such a consistent basis, like you'd be the guru at it?
No, I get bored.
Yeah, I like the variety and whatnot. It's like when you're at the gym, you got a muscle confusion. You just got to keep.
See, I often wrestle with that idea, because I feel like if I could just like stick to one lane, I could master it. Where right now, like I'm on a 9-lane highway doing HVAC and refrigeration and hot side, and we do a little bit of plumbing, and then we're changing breakers. And I know enough about everything to get by and do a pretty decent job. But I wish I could just focus on one lane and be like that one guy, the Rain Man of fryers, or the Rain Man of refrigeration, or be the next Chris Stevens from HVACR videos if I ever could.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd get bored, man. I can't do it. I like what I do, so until that changes, I'm not gonna.
like I will say, if I was given an opportunity, I probably would get bored. But since I'm not there now, it's easy to just spout this off and be like, I wish I could just stick to one thing and be great at it. And then a week later, I'm like, this fucking sucks, man. Company sucks. We never go anywhere. I'm doing the same thing every day. Yeah.
I think a lot of customers, appreciate the variety of someone walking in and being able to work on their HVAC, their hot side, their refrigeration, and just
Yeah.
in their beverage system like I do. And but
Oh,
then
you
at
do
the
beverage
same
systems
time,
too?
I do.
Oh, very
But at the
nice.
same time, you see like high rises and some commercial properties, they want the manufacturer in there, or they'll hire several companies to do what they do good, best. So they'll want just Train in there or Carrier. They'll want whatever the manufacturer. And then there's others in the restaurant. We're in the restaurant world all the time, so it's just like, can you do it all? So we don't have to wait for,
I think it's like you said. I think they just want that one-stop shop, the simplicity of like, I want to be able to make one phone call and have all these problems go away.
Yeah, I find that too. The problem is most of the time, there's very few guys that are proficient at everything, and there's even fewer that are good at everything. Is the hard part.
Yeah. Well, like, how do you train a guy for the line of stuff we do, like the variety? Like, I don't know, you have to ride with you for years just to be able to be exposed to enough of that variety to be confident and well versed in it enough to break away on his own, I think.
So his company does a really good job at doing it, at training and bringing stuff up. Mine. It's pretty much trial by fire. So my son, I'll use him as an example. He's been with us. He'll be a year and a week. And he's been with me or another guy for pretty much 8 months, 9 months. We let him do some stuff on his own occasionally. It's pretty much just right if somebody figure it out. We were trying to do hot and cold at the same time. I just told him it's just too overwhelming. So right now we just kind of like focus on hot side with him. Once he gets proficient at that, he wants to pick up the cold side because he just wants to do as much as he can. He's got ADHD like me, and he gets bored, so he wants to do more. So we're gonna let him run hot side for a little bit, a couple of years, probably about 2-year anniversary, and then we'll start working in some refrigeration side.
Oh, see, and that's not bad. I mean, as long as you're just kind of like, here, we'll give you this one section of what we do, and let you cut your teeth on that, and then we'll start introducing some of the other stuff. That's not a bad way to do it.
So what do they do there at Casper's as far as like if you get a green guy that wants to do everything? How do you guys break it down, Jason?
My apologies. My daughter's just screaming in the background.
Hey,
I just had my headset off. My apologies.
We got kids. No, we're just talking about how do we train bringing a guy in? So say if you guys got a green guy in and he wants to do hot side and cold side, how do you guys go about bringing him up?
Our program is putting them, depending on what their experience is. If you're saying green just out of college and really no experience at all, tech college or something, we put them through my department of preventative maintenance. So we put them on contract calls Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday, based on what hours they have left after doing 4 days, I take all kinds of calls, and we go out there, and it's under kind of a controlled environment with me, and I'll take hot, cold, refrigeration, HVAC, beverage, and we'll do that. And other than that, we have a full Casper's University training course that runs a lot of classes based on the Cefesa curriculum. And we have an instructor, and we have someone who writes a lot of curriculum for us, and they go through a little co-op, I guess. And we have a lot of boards that are set up and equipment that's traded out. The customer was done with it, and we've installed new, or they've donated to us, and we have them tear it down. And it's just a lot of hands-on and whatnot, and a lot of Cefesa book work and stuff like that.
See, I like the idea of taking them out and having them do preventative maintenance to expose them to the equipment, and kind of getting them touching it and seeing it in its probably, for the most part, working condition.
Yeah, it's all about sequence of operations, them understanding, reading the data plate and matching up, amps, volts, checking contactors, capacitors, understanding the sequence of operations from start to finish. You turn it off. I want you to go through the sequence and explain to me what you understand, and then we'll talk about that, and then put it all back together and look for some little back end stuff that they can recommend to the customer.
Nice. Now, Jason, do you also do I know you do drink machines. You do the HVAC stuff, the refrigeration stuff, the whole gamut.
Yes, sir. The whole 9 yards. I work
Very
on
nice.
full RTUs, split units. I don't work on chillers. I haven't had much experience.
Yeah.
I don't think
No, me neither.
our 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 contractor's license covers that. I think we do up to 25-ton units and whatnot. But I do reach-ins. I do carbon, 600 and 290.
Mm.
We do steam. We do electric. We just pretty much anything that's in a restaurant, we deal with it. I change out breakers, uh, and everything but plumbing. So
Yeah. Plumbing is the worst.
I
yeah,
love,
it's
I,
shitty.
I am not good at it. I can get it the third time. It takes me 3 times. It'll leak the first time, drip the second, third time. I got it.
So, do you guys do any dish machine work then, or?
We do some. It's only at this one particular restaurant, and they have Hobart models. I forget the exact model, but they all have Hobarts. And we're not a Hobart authorized service provider, so we don't get tech support. But I found my way around that, and I got a bunch of manuals and things through social media folks that were kind enough to share. But I mean, I don't do enough of them to really even tell you much about them. I can go in there and sometimes figure out the obvious, but the little, you know how like every model, every brand of something has those little tweaks that are like, yeah, it's this thing right here, or this little screw wears out after about 4 years, and you got to replace it or something. Those little things, those little tricks. I haven't worked on them enough to know any of those.
I enjoy working on them. Well, when I first started, I did a lot of school work in my area and McDonald's. That's why I cut my teeth on schools and McDonald's. So I always worked on the Hobarts. I mean, I had an old model here at the local high school in my town that literally had a manual fill valve, and it had like an opening, and the water, you could watch water go by, and you could tell when it was full because that would fill up and overflow.
Oh,
it was
nice.
nuts. And then it filled over the rest of the day after rinse. But I mean, I love the old Hobarts. I work on some of the newer stuff too. It's just like you said, trying to find information's hard. For a while, Hobart stuff was password protected, then it was free, and then I think it's password protected again. It's all about knowing people, though. There's a lot of guys out there who will help you.
Yeah. I learned the same with like Taylor shake machines. We're not a authorized service provider by the factory because they've reached their capacity of service providers in my area, and anyway, there's loopholes around that as well. But actually, I wanted to go to the Garland training to get certified through Garland and Taylor, but for reasons unknown to me, I was not allowed to go to that training. But all that just to say, I don't get warranty authorized warranty tech support from Taylor either. But like you said, social media, man, I found some people, got some master manuals. It's not impossible, but it takes you a little bit longer.
Jason would be he's a Taylor guy.
Are you?
Yeah, I work on the ice cream machines. Yeah, they're
Oh,
C602s. They're fun. I actually don't have an issue with them. The issue, in my opinion, is that there's so many shifts, and the average age of the employee working on them is fairly young. Especially when they get in after school. They're not necessarily paying attention. That machine is down 90%, in my opinion, 99% of the time because of user error. That's not topped off correctly. It's not cleaned correctly. And it's just designed because you'll notice the date on the front of it. There's 2 digits. It goes up to 14 days. So what they're doing is you have up to 14 days before you practically have to clean it. So they're constantly adding product to the top. And if you don't add product and it gets low enough, air gets introduced into the barrels, and it flash freezes, and it turns into a rock hard. And for safety, it locks out until a technician can come in. It'll go into a heat mode, which heats the product up to about 170 degrees to kill all bacteria.
Oh, yeah. So you're talking about the
heat treats.
Yeah, the heat treats. I haven't worked any of those though. The ones I'm used to are the M62s -27s. The Taylor's the probably what you
is that the older style? It's still,
Yeah.
I think it's like a C602, but it's the older one.
Yeah.
And I think they do have glycol in them, and they do have they use a glycol that runs around the barrels and the hoppers, and it's just a heat transfer for the cold to keep the hopper 38.
Oh, yeah. No, the ones I work on, there's no glycol in them.
No glycol?
No.
And is it
not
gravity
on those
fed?
ones. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, that's like Wendy's, you know.
They
and
do
then-
have syrup.
A.
Yeah, it's the home of the meats.
You got the meats.
The home of the
Yeah.
meat sweats.
Yeah, you've seen some of their social media, man. They just get down on. They're like, our machine's never broken.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been there when they are broken, and I'm like, yeah, they are broken.
They break.
You know.
They all break.
And then when I'm done fixing them, I'm like, you guys can start it up. You're good to go. I'm like, no, we'll just leave it down. And then I'm like, you know what? You know what? As I'm walking to my van, I'm going to yell at all those cars that you're lying to them.
So I have a taco place that's all over the world, and I do a lot of their fryers, and they're always clogged. And like, I'll get there, and they're like, "Oh, we're not gonna cook because you're here. We're gonna close the restaurant." I'm like, "You're not closing the restaurant because I'm working on one side of this fryer. I don't think so." I was like, "You're not putting that on me."
Oh, dude,
And-
yeah. I
then
know
I'll have
which one you're talking about.
Then I'll have someone where they're both down, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have fried foods," or I'll be there like changing the fry pot, and like, "Oh, we don't have fried foods." So I'll get done like 10 o'clock. I'm like, "Okay, you guys can have it." They're like, "Oh, we don't want fried food today, so we're just gonna leave it off. Don't turn it on." I'm telling your maintenance guy I'm done because I have to call their maintenance guy and tell him. I was like, I'm telling him I'm done. So
Yeah, it's all in the paperwork, you know.
I'm like, it's on you guys if someone calls and complains. Don't blame me because I've had people blame me. Oh, the guy was working on it. I'm like, that thing was fixed and I was gone 2 hours ago. Don't blame me for that shit.
Mm-hmm. Do you work on their rethermalizers?
Yep.
Yeah. See, I've only worked on like a handful of those, which I guess
Control. Always temp control every time.
is it?
It's always temp control on those.
I'm always there for the leaking probes at the top right. It's always dripping water down.
Yeah.
So I think I know what place you're talking about.
Yeah, with the bags of pre-browned meat.
Back to me.
Yeah. Good.
It's not,
I mean, it tastes good, but I mean, I don't like to see it.
Yeah. You don't know how the sausage is made?
I don't want to see it before it goes in the taco. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like seeing your wife without her makeup on. Like, I don't want to see it. Just put your makeup on, then I'll look at you.
2 a.m. when the lights turn on at the club.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, are you a truck driver? Like, no,
all that sweat did you dirty.
I came here with you. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, well, there's one more song, I guess.
So, do you do any Quentin Webb's talking about Subway speed ovens? Do you do anything? Have you ever worked on a Merit Chef or a Turbo Chef oven or anything?
I've done maybe like one or two way back in the day. Not even enough to even tell you a good story about them. Other than one time, a former employee of ours was working on one of those. He set it on the counter in such a way that it wasn't balanced. It fell right on an employee's foot.
I say throw it away. It falls off the counter because you'll never get the seal again. Just throw it away and start over.
That's an expensive accident.
Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to that. I don't know if there was a lawsuit or I know she had to go to the hospital. I mean, because those things, I mean, they're not light.
So Jennifer wants to know if you prefer to be with a carnivore or a vegan.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going carnivore.
She already doesn't drink. She's a vegan too. Jesus.
Oh, is she? Does she not drink and she doesn't eat meat?
Sorry, I didn't mean to put that out there. No, she prefers not to drink, like a lot of us.
Yeah, I haven't.
Love you,
drank.
Jennifer.
I haven't drank in 5 years, but
Yeah, I remember watching some episodes where you were talking about that.
Yeah, I drank enough to float battleships around the ocean if I could. So I'm like, yeah, we should probably stop. You know, my drink of choice was Steel Reserve.
Oh boy,
Steel Reserve and cheap Scotch. That's all I would drink.
I
all
try.
the time.
I try to drink. I generally have 1 or 2 a little bit of whiskey a week, and I try to do it for the podcast, or I'll sit here and look all mad and pissed off and not relax if I don't. So,
Oh, if you don't have a little drink.
yeah, just to relax. Someone's like, "Why don't you go eat some edibles?" I'm like, "Nah, I can't do that, dude. I'd be asleep and drooling on myself."
Oh, 100%. I've tried that too. And it just makes me useless.
I always see Chris eating something. I'm like, "What's he eating?"
Oh, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, that fat bastard. That dude eats so much.
I see him like he said something about gummy one day, and I was like, "Is he doing what I think he's doing?"
Oh yeah, 100%.
California, man, California. Well, you're in Michigan, so ain't no.
Yeah, it's the same here. But like over here, you know, there's randomized drug tests and whatnot. So, and the weird thing is, like, it's legal, but you're not supposed to have it in your system. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just go back to being a raging alcoholic. You can't test for that, right? As long
What
as
does
I'm
that
not.
even mean? You can't have it. You can do it, but you can't have it in your system.
Well, they mean you're not really supposed to do it, even though it's legal.
Oh,
You're not supposed to do it. But what they tell you is like, as long as it doesn't show up in your test, like whatever that means, you know, if I know they make those, I don't know if they actually work, but those drinks you can buy from head shops that say you'll pee clean for the next 24 hours if you drink it. It's just loaded full of chemicals and paint thinner and whatever else can mask the THC in your pee.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a wild hypocrisy here in Michigan. Let me tell you.
I know people go up there every weekend. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's got some beautiful places. So if you come here and just like look around, that's cool. If you live here and like start getting into things, you're like, well, that's kind of dumb, you know. But then you go up north, up to the UP, and you look at some trees. I'm like, this is sweet, man.
Yeah, I want to go up to the UP. Is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't. Nothing against Southern Michigan, but that's just Northern Indiana to me.
Basically, I mean, yeah, it's like an extension of Ohio.
Yeah.
You know, like if you ever do go up to the UP, look up this place called I think it's called Fayetteville. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's an old abandoned ghost town, like a miner's town, and it's a giant town. It's not like one of these little tiny towns you see on TikTok where there's like 3 houses and a stoplight or something that's kind of overgrown a little bit. Like this is an entire industrial town, you know, from like the 1800s. It's an old miner town. Super cool place to go visit. So if you do make your way up there, check it out. I think it's in the lower part of the UP.
Sweet.
Lower part of the upper peninsula. Yeah, it's confusing to say. Now, Jason, you said you work on beverage machines. I'm curious about those. What like?
So I work on chiller machines that for a brand that has automatic beverage systems at their drive-through. What's that brand? Chiller machine there. I'm trying to think of the brand. They also make so I work on frozen drink machines, frappe machines, coffee machines, OJ machines, ice cream machines, soda machines, just anything in a restaurant for the most part.
Nice.
Whether it's a closet unit or an actual chilled water soda distribution machine that runs a Python from the back all the way to the front, whether it's lobby dispensers or drive-through.
It's a well-built brand. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name of it. If you've ever been in the back of McDonald's, it's in the back of McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's big, huge thing. It's got a couple compressors in it. It's got all kinds of stuff in there.
I think I've walked past one of those, but I've never ever touched it. Is it side note or side question? Is it true that McDonald's gets all their Coke syrup delivered them in a stainless steel drum? Or
Two of them.
Yeah,
2 of them. Yeah,
No,
2
it's a
big
real
ones.
thing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They don't get in the syrup boxes like all the Pepsi and all the other brands.
It depends on the location, but most of them have that machine multiplex. There you go, Jason Hartman. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so I work on the multiplex system. It has 4 carbonators, and Jason, thank you. Brian jumped in on it too.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name.
So I'm like running through photos of I'm like, I know it's a Model 50 MR, but yeah, multiplex they have that, and they have the beverage in a BIC beverage in a cup frappe machine that you can make individual drinks in each cup. But the multiplex system, the 50 MR, it's some locations have the old bag in the box, and they call that like a closet setup.
Oh,
but most locations have this some fast food places. Yeah, loving it. Airports, movie theaters, they use that system, and they run long pythons, and they have automatic beverage systems.
But is it just the Coke that's in the stainless steel drums?
It is, because it's bulk. Yeah, I mean, these things are like big 55-gallon.
So it's just for the bulk reasons, because I had heard that they put it in stainless steel because it affects the taste. Like it was more of a taste thing, but I'm like, I don't know.
No, it's delivered like gas. They come and pull a hose out of the freezer truck, and they pump it into these.
So it's
units.
a big stationary tank. It's not something they're moving. And
no, yeah, it's a big stationary tank. It looks as big.
Gotcha.
It looks identical to a big CO2 tank, almost identical. It's just as big, And they have a special system where it backwashes and cleans it and sterilizes it. They'll fill them both up. You'll go through one, and then by the time you're done with one, you switch to the other, and then they're calling someone to come back to fill that one up and clean it and whatnot. And they do have the bags, but the bags are for the other flavors other than the regular Coke. And I think the process of it running through that multiplex, because all the lines go through this bath water and there's this big ice ring around there. It keeps it it's like 32 degrees. Just looking at
is it so it's not like a glycol system for like a beer cooler?
No, it's refrigerated. It's just a compressor with a condenser on the roof, and it's just a bath of water that has the water and the syrup lines going through the water. There's evaporator coils in the water, and it actually creates an ice bank, and then there's an agitator that just keeps the water spinning so it doesn't freeze up.
And this is all sorry to cut you off. Yeah. This is all in this one multiplex system you're talking about then.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta be friends with you on Facebook because I want to see some of this stuff.
Yeah, man. I have quite a few photos of me doing finding leaks and fixing compressor leaks, changing out the agitator motor. I haven't uploaded, but I take videos and photos of before, during, and after everything I've done since 2010, since I went to school and the 4 years I was there. And then since I've been out, I just document everything. I got tens of thousands of pieces of content that I haven't, edited and put out there, but it's mainly just to CYA and just to review and go back in, and I use it to teach and help and share with others.
Man, that's pretty neat, man.
It's fun. It's really fun. I really love facilities in general. So any opportunity, and that's why I don't think I could handle just focusing on one thing. I think I'd lose it probably because I have ADD too. So it's, of course I'm not going to be a master at any particular thing, but I think if you,
that sounds like your way around it pretty well anyway.
The foundation is knowing sequence of operations. If you understand sequence of operations of any piece of equipment, you're gonna be good, and being humble enough and not being too prideful to reach out to others who have put their time in, and other professionals and technical support and whatnot. There's a community.
Now, I had gotten the opportunity a while back to work on some slushy machines at a certain place that's it's 7-Eleven. I don't care. It's 7-Eleven. And these slushy machines, I forget the name of them, but it's such an obvious name if I had remembered it. But anyway, slushy machines, 7-Eleven. They put a call in and they're like, "Hey, Bill, you want to go work on these?" I'm like, "Sure." I've never worked on one ever in my entire life, but I took a class a long time ago on like margarita machines. Yeah. And so I go out there and thinking these are similar. But this is like basically taking an oven from your house, comparing it to a rational oven. And like this thing it's a 4-barrel machine. And like the sequence of operation things like the compressor and the refrigeration system, like all that stuff. I'm like, all right, well, that was easy to identify. But the tricks that I was having a hard time with was like the syrup mixture and the air to ratio combos, things like that. Because their issue wasn't like blatant it's not cooling. Their issue was sometimes the mix is too wet. Sometimes it's not wet enough. Yeah. So it's a consistency issue, which, I get tech support on the phone. They're helping me. And they're like, well, all right, you got to draw the barrel down. You got to like flush the barrel. And then we had to like restart, do everything over. I must have wasted like all that dude's syrup. Just like because every time we'd like make a change, he's like, all right, drain it down and then get your refractometer out and test this and this. And he's like, now we got to fill it back up. And there was a certain way you had to like fill it back up, fill it up halfway, pull this little plunger to release the gas inside. And I was like, I probably that place out of business.
Did they have you putting the little drops of the product on there to see the sugar content? Was it a rectifier?
Yep.
Staring through there.
Yep.
Refractometers. No.
What's it called?
Refractometer.
Refractometer. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing with that is like, I could take the same mixture of whatever, drop it on there once, look at it. I'm like, all right, we got to adjust it. And then I drop it again without changing out the mixture. I drop it again on there. I'm like, oh, now it's different, but it's the same. I haven't, done anything yet. It's the same mixture, but I'm getting like inconsistent results. And these inconsistent results were leading to like these big changes we were having to do. And they were so labor intensive to go through and like, well, now we got to draw this down. I just feel like if I had been doing this for 15 years, I probably would have known better than tech support. And I'm like, nah, we just got to do this. Bricks. That's what I was thinking of. The bricks mix.
Yeah, my boss was a slushy guy for years and years and years. He talks about that stuff. I'm like, no, I don't know part of that, man. I used to do some margarita machines at Cheeseburger in Paradise. We used to have a couple of those around here, and I absolutely hated them. I mean, they're disgusting because people
so sticky, stickiest things ever.
Throw that liquor around that runs down inside there, and literally, there's nothing wrong with refrigeration. There's nothing wrong with anything except it gets gunked up with sugar and booze, and it doesn't run because how these worked, it just was a switch. So the motor was on tension, it'd run, and when it gets so much tension, that motor would rock and hit that switch, and that's what killed refrigeration. That's all. These things.
Just like a torque sensor or something.
Yep, the motor would rock and hit that switch and kick it out, and that's all it ran. And then once it thinned out a little bit, the motor would rock back over and go. I mean, super simple, but the problem was they just be throwing that mix around, dude. I'd have to go in there twice a year. They had quick connects on the back. You'd unscrew the quick connect line set, take them outside, pull the motors out, and take hot water and just blast them with hot water and blow all that shit out. Put them back together. You come back in 3 months, you change the bearings and that plate for the motor because that's the spin. 3 months later, do it again, come back, take a hose, clean it out. It's just a nightmare.
The thing that I always found weird was like when you're working on a slushy machine or like a shake machine at a restaurant, like the amount of people that are so angered that they can't get their slushy or their shake or their ice cream, whatever it is, they're just so enraged. And at my time at 7-Eleven, I'd be working on something else. I just watch the lineup of people coming in for these slushies. And, I'd be working on them sometimes. And I'm just like getting this goo all over my fingers. I'm like, people are just sucking this stuff up. And I'm like, this stuff is like, I feel I could dip my hands in there and just climb up a wall. It was like the stickiest substance. I'm pretty sure that like slushy syrup is the main ingredient of Gorilla Glue. 99% sure that's how it works because it's just the stickiest stuff I've ever experienced in my whole life.
It's about right there. Some of that stuff you find under a fryer, man. Some of that old grease that's sat in there and heated.
Oh yeah, dude.
And it doesn't come off. Like my son, he started working with me. He's like, "How do you get this off?" I was like, "Oh, you go to the back and you get steel wool or scratch pad. And you take a layer of skin off, bud.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way it comes off.
You boil your hand. That's how you get it off.
Go Joe.
Yeah. Man, fryers, that'll give you nightmares. I don't know, what do you guys think? Like what's the nightmare situation you always like you kind of prepare new guys for? Like, listen, this is gonna be the worst thing you're ever gonna see. Like what's your thing?
I like to take the new guys to I like to shock them, take them to like a chicken joint. And I don't mean like a fast food chicken joint, like the close on Sunday kind of places. I mean like the ladies walking around kind of chicken joints where they're prepping their food on the 3-compartment sink kind of chicken joints. And so,
yeah.
Chinese restaurants. Chinese restaurants, man, they got a different view of cleanliness. I'm not sure how any of them stay in business. Like when I first started, I was working on a wok, which if you don't have any idea, if you've never worked on a wok at a Chinese restaurant, you aren't a hot side tech, man, because that will change your life, dude. I've never seen so many orifices and so much gas pressure. Dude. It's insane.
Like
I've never
24 just
I've seen him at Panda. We used to do Panda for a little tiny, like just a minute. And I've seen him there, but I think maybe I did a valve on one time, but I never got too far into it. But yeah, I do remember like just this ball of orifices. And I was like, wow, that's like staring into the surface of the sun.
Oh yeah, it's got more BTUs than my freaking oxyacetylene rig.
Yeah.
They can boil water in those woks in like 2 seconds. I'm like, every time it comes on, like, I don't know, the neighbors cry because their heat goes out, I think.
Yeah.
But I went to one and legit, this lady had a burlap sack of cabbage in it for egg rolls, and she had it in the back, and she was driving it over with her car, and that's how she was smashing it to break it down for egg rolls.
Oh. I mean,
but it's delicious.
That's creative. I mean, I probably still would have ate there. But
yeah, me too.
Oh, nasty. Oh yeah, I've eaten there. Nasty at this point. I've been doing a lot of these here lately too. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry, changed on me. Mideastern grocery stores.
Never seen one.
We've got a lot of them around Indy, man, and some of the stuff they cook in there is wild because they'll cook the food in there too, and they just have I mean, it's a different culture, so they have a totally different, outlook as far as cleanliness or anything else goes, and it's crazy.
Like I've been to Mexico like numerous times, and I don't go to like the touristy parts of Mexico. Like we go visit my wife's family, like up in the mountains where like the whole village is made by hand, like rocks and sticks sort of houses. And I mean, they do have some modern houses, but you get the point. And you go to these little stores where they're selling the meats and the chickens and everything else like that. And most of the time they do also cook the stuff there, and they sell tortillas and street foods and whatnot. But there's no refrigeration in any of these places. There's not a lick of refrigeration. There's no coolers. There's no nothing. Like I've seen chickens sit out on a counter with a towel over it at these like stores overnight. They'll just put a towel on it, come in the morning, kick the lights back on, like we're up in business. We're selling these chickens, and they will, and people buy them.
They've got a different immune system than we do, man. They don't have all that modern medicine killing their immune system. So
no, they don't need it. I mean, for all the parasites that those people must eat, dude. Oh,
that's bad.
and people are like, yeah, don't drink the water. I'm like, don't eat or drink anything if you can avoid it. I mean,
if I'm not at a resort, I'm not eating anything.
I mean, what do you think the animals drank before they died? They drank the water. So like, what are you going to get away from? You better just drink bottled water and eat Twinkies or something.
Do you guys bring a lot of that stuff with you? Do you drive in there, or you fly in?
I fly in.
Okay.
I've driven there a couple times, which is horrible in itself. We drive nonstop and we switch on and off 42 hours nonstop.
Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's god awful. It's pure torture. After 15 hours, you just want to die. And then 25 hours, yeah, it's horrible. But yeah, so we fly in there, and I've just decided, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna eat the food. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm gonna eat the food, and I'm gonna gather as much medicine as I can, Pepto-Bismol, Tums, like whatever I can get, just in case. So far I've been pretty lucky. Like I feel I've developed a pretty strong immune system, because when I was a drunk, I would eat old food all the time. Like doing hot side, they have the waste bins of old cheeseburgers and stuff, and they just leave them there. I'm like, you guys gonna throw that away? I'm like, I'll just take it with me. And they're like, yeah, it's been there all day. I'm like, I don't care. I've been here all day, whatever. So I'm eating old left out foods and drinking cheap malt liquor. So
still reserved, baby.
I've done pretty well over there. I haven't had any accidents or any needs to wear diapers yet.
It sounds like you cut out the drinking now, so you probably dumpster food.
Yeah, you tend to make bad decisions when you're drunk all the time, it turns out.
Bill's a wild guy here.
Seems pretty tame now.
Yeah, that's what sobriety will do to you. And I don't want to say that like it's a bad thing. Sobriety is, for me, it's a game changer. It's allowed me to reassess my goals, refocus where I want my life to be, and get a lot more things on track. Back when I was drinking, it was just, I'm just living for the bottle sort of thing.
Now, I know you shaved your beard, and it was because you hit a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So you were trying to lose some weight, and you hit that goal, and now you're just saying, screw it, you're going back to the beard?
Well, see, so here's the thing about dieting. Dieting it's horrible. It's a horrible thing. And it's
terrible.
It's not as cut and dry as like some people think, or let me rephrase that. It's not as cut and dry for us as it is for other people. Mm-hmm. For me, at the very least. I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak for anybody else. But so I had reached my goal. My goal was to hit 190 pounds, and I got down to it. And that's where I like to be. That's where I feel comfortable. My back pain goes away. It's easier for me to move and, squeeze into tiny spaces. So I hit the goal, shaved my beard off, and then I started doing what they call reverse dieting out of my deficit, where I would go back up to a normal amount of calories. And then my body's like, well, screw this. It immediately went back to like my 220 weight, which is where I kind of just hover around. So over the last probably 5 years of intensive, I don't want to say intensive dieting, but intensive focusing on training and eating healthy and reframing my life. After I quit drinking, I decided I want to get real healthy. It's just been an ongoing learning experience. Like the human body, at least my human body, it doesn't know what it wants sometimes. It's like I could eat 1,500 calories a day and still be 220. I could eat 3,000 calories a day and still be 220. So I'm like, well, what do you do to lose weight then? I haven't figured that out yet. But all that just to say, I've let it grow back out until I hit that goal again.
Nice.
How tall are you?
6'1",
6'1".
6'3" in heels.
So you should be around 180, 185.
Yeah.
I'm 5'11", and I should be around, I think, 180. And I was 222 all of 4 weeks ago, and I'm at 207 now. But I've been getting up every morning at 4:30 and going to the gym with the wifey for the last 5 weeks and trying to keep a caloric deficit of about 18 to 2,200. So
that's about right where you should be for a guy your size. That's like right about my range too, is 1,800 to 22. To be a quick side rant, and feel free to cut me off because I get stuck in tangents and stories, and I'll go off on a story that makes absolutely no sense and doesn't belong in any podcast forum. But a quick side rant on that, the whole like 220 180 thing and going to the gym and whatnot. It's I don't know how to say it. It's like you get into these habits of doing. Actually, where was I going with that story now? Son of a bitch. What were you talking about? We were talking about the 1,800 to 220, 2,400 calories.
Caloric deficit, working out.
That's it.
Are you for it or not for it?
Totally for it. Totally for the caloric deficit. I'm trying to do this thing where I just eat when I'm hungry. Like that's been my sort of thing as of late, because this is what I was going to get to. Man, it took me a while to come back around to that thought. So being a former alcoholic, or I don't know, you're always an alcoholic, they say, but being a guy who heavily depended on drinking to make it through life and using that as a crutch to have something to look forward to and be able to survive stressful situations. Once I quit drinking and quit smoking and quit all of my vices that made life worth living, I was like, well, now what do I do? And then I started looking at food as like this next vice. Like, well, stressed out. Like, well, I'm going to eat something. It's a bad day at work. I'm going to go home and eat something. Instead of having a beer, instead of having that drink, now I was having that cheeseburger or having a piece of cake or something like that, right?
Yep.
And so now, like, it took me a longer time than I feel it should have to really fully realize that I use that as my new crutch. And so now that's where it's like, you can't abstain from eating. Like, you can abstain from drinking booze. You can abstain from smoking cigarettes, but can't really stop eating. So you have to, you're basically forced to fix that relationship, or you're just going to go in an endless circle of gaining, losing, hating yourself, beating yourself up, starving yourself the next day because you ate a bag of chips and a pizza for dinner because you've been starving yourself for so long. You just binged out on it. Yeah. So you come to a realization that you just have to fix that relationship with food. And that's one of the more healthy ways that I've seen or heard people talking about is the what do they call it? The hunger-fullness diet. It's real simple. Some people that don't have the same problem I do, like, well, I mean, why would you eat when you're not hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you just described me to a T. So when I first got into this field, I went from being active to not being active, being in the van, getting these restaurants. You go in these restaurants, you fix stuff, you're the hero. They're giving you food.
Oh, yeah.
I've eaten everywhere from McDonald's to 5-star restaurants, everywhere in between. And I gained weight because I was sitting. I was moving, and I started sitting in front of equipment, standing in front of equipment, not moving. And then I developed sleep apnea because I got heavy, and then I was smoking cigarettes and eating to stay awake when I was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And then I quit smoking, and this eating just became more. And eventually, a few years later, I was 400 pounds, and I've had a 100-pound swing like 4 or 5 times the last 8-9 years.
Yeah. Well, and see, the other thing that I have an issue with is sleeping. I don't have sleep apnea that I know of. I haven't had a sleep study done, but I wake up after I only get like 6 hours of sleep, and I'll wake up just feeling exhausted, and I'll go down, I'll do my little workout, and get that handled. Then throughout the day, I'm just exhausted, which will lead to your body's like, we need energy. Let's just consume everything. We need carbs, we need calories. So all day long, you're just like, you feel like you're starving, but you're just exhausted because you didn't sleep good that night.
Yep. It's crazy what your body does. Like I said, I used to stay awake, and then it became, I was sad, so I ate. I was angry, so I ate. And I mean, that's what I'm trying to battle now. You know, now I get mad. I'm like, okay, what do I do? I'm like, okay, I'll smoke a cigar. I'm like, oh, I can't do that because, you know, it's another terrible habit. It's like, man, you just trade one vice for another, and it's a wild ride, man.
Isn't it? It's like, I wish I could do, honestly, I wish smoking like didn't do anything bad to you. If smoking was 100% like guilt-free, didn't give you cancer, none of the bad stuff, dude, I'd be smoking right now. I'd be smoking and blowing in babies' faces because I love smoking. I love it right now.
Oh yeah, when I quit, my wife hates the smell of it. You know, when she quit, I'm like, I'll stand right next to somebody smoking a cigarette right now. I'm just like, I remember the day.
Oh man, I could pick up smoking in a second. You know, if there was a comet hurtling towards Earth right now, the first place I'm going is the liquor store to get me a fifth of booze and some smokes. Probably a carton of smokes, because I'm going to smoke all them sons of bitches.
Just sit there waiting for it to come.
Yeah, I'm just smoking. And then the news will hit. I'm like, oh, it's going to go around us. I'm like, shit, I got to quit again. It was so hard to quit the first time. But like, there's no good, healthy vices. So it's like, you have to, if you want to get over it, you have to fix these relationships. You have to find the core reason of why. Like, why am I using this as a crutch? Like, why don't I have the tools at my disposal to deal with these emotions, these stresses, this bullshit of life, you know?
Yeah, so that kind of leads to, like, you know, the thing you do with Brett, the cooler head stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if anyone's turned into that. I mean, it happens every other Saturday when they can, but that's a pretty cool platform. I was a guest on there, and you just talk about, you know, some of the problems you see being in trades and like how you work on it, how do you be a better person. It's just nice. You're sitting there just shooting the shit with a couple guys, you know, hey, you know, I did this, and this, and I screwed up, I did this, and it's just like no one's there to judge you. It's like you just get it out there and put it out there, and it helps other guys. You know, I've listened to some episodes, do some stuff, and I'm like, man, I did that. I'm like, man, that's why I do that, you know, and it makes sense. I mean, it's nice that we talk about it in the trades because it's just been buried as, you know, oh, you're a manly man, don't talk about your feelings or whatever. But man, so many guys have eaten feelings for years and eating a bullet, and I don't want to see that from anybody.
Yeah, 100%. You know, they just get unhealthy and or depressed, and they get to a point where they're just like, they don't know how to fix it. They feel like there's no going back there. They've gone so far in the wrong direction.
So it's been almost an hour. I'll try to keep it under an hour, a little bit. But I want to thank you for coming on. But I also want a chance to plug your podcast you're on, your YouTube, everything you do, so we can get a bunch more stalkers following you around, man. Yeah,
dude. I love stalkers. Bring on the stalkers. The random nudes I get in the middle of the night, that's fine by me. Send them all. Send them all. Send them all. So, yeah, you can find me and my buddies, Chris Stevens, HVACR videos, and some guy named Joe. He's from Canada, and Adam Muffich. We do a little show called the HVAC Overtime Show every Friday at 9 p.m. And then, like Pat said, every other Saturday, me and Brett, the Wet Pretzel, and Adam, most of the time, do Cooler Heads, where we talk about our feelings and how sad we are, and we cry in each other's laps, and it's a good old gay time. You know, it's something that needs to be said, and I don't mind saying it.
No.
It's a real good time. So, and also I do have a little YouTube channel that I put content out kind of whenever it comes, whenever I have the ability to film something. Check me out at the Curious HVAC Guy. Check it out. Hit the subscribe button, hit some likes, go leave me some comments. I don't care. I try to read them and respond when I can, but you know how it is.
Yeah, it's weird. YouTube like notifies you when it wants to notify you that you have comments and likes and stuff. Like, sometimes it doesn't, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this one's from 3 months ago. I never got this notification, but why'd I get it today? Okay.
Yeah, I never responded to it.
Now I feel like a terrible person for not engaging with my audience.
Yeah. And that person's like, they got you on a list now. They're like, well, this person is now on my list, and they're going to kill you because you never responded to them.
So I appreciate you coming on, man. You're
anytime.
You're a great dude. I love your content. It's a different type of personality, but I love it, dude. The glasses, the beard, it's just... You can't even see your mouth move. You got that pop filter right there in front, so it doesn't even look like you're talking.
You know what? People don't ever ask me why I do that. I do it for a reason.
What is that?
I don't trust deaf people.
Don't trust deaf.
Mhm.
Just thought maybe like you just plug a still in during the podcast.
Nope.
You just walk around, got a microphone clipped to your shirt, and you're just doing whatever you want.
You can't read my lips if you can't see them.
He's like, ADA rules don't apply here.
Nope. What am I saying now, Helen Keller?
oh, God.
You ain't got shit on me.
So do me a favor, guys. If you're not following Bill, which I'm sure you are, please go follow Curious HVAC Guy everywhere you can follow him. He's a good dude. He's got some great content. He's make sure you check out the HVAC Overtime show. I will tell you that was the greatest thing when you guys started that back up, the little promo video. I literally was crying laughing. I was dying when that came out, dude. So
the one that Ryan made?
No, it's a promo. When they started doing the show back up, it's like, who was like living under a bridge and huffing?
It was Joe.
Joe was huffing.
Joe,
dude, living under a bridge, and
yeah, it was a good time. I wish we lived closer because we would love to do stuff like that like more often, but we're all so spread out, and the time it takes to make something like that when you're all remote. Yeah, we've been talking about doing some more stuff like that for years, but it's just that we haven't had the right time.
Just blame the California and the Canadian guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, man. Thanks for coming on, dude.
All right, Bill. I'm gonna connect with you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, hit me up, man. I'd love to talk more about some of the stuff you do.
Excellent.
See you guys.